Lauren Tate was a bright, college-bound teen working as a babysitter in a quiet Ohio suburb. On the night of June 8, 2013, she called 911 whispering about a stranger entering the home. Then the line went dead. When police arrived, the children were safe, but Lauren was gone. Hold on, thanks for stopping by to watch this video. Subscribe to the channel for more true crime documentary stories updates. Also like, share and turn on your bell icon. Thank you. Bell Ridge, Ohio was the kind of town that clung to a certain stillness. It was where porch lights glowed just bright enough to feel safe, and the loudest sound after 9 p.m. was the occasional bark of a dog or the hum of a passing car. Families knew each other by name. Crime was rare, practically non-existent. But that illusion of safety would shatter on the night of June 8, 2013. Lauren Tate was a 19-year-old sophomore at Ohio State University, home for summer break. Bright, dependable, and quietly ambitious, Lauren had been babysitting since she was 15. That Saturday evening, she agreed to watch the Whitmore children, ages 6 and 3, while the parents went out for dinner and a late movie. She arrived around 6:45 p.m., wearing jeans, a soft blue hoodie, and her usual calm smile. It was supposed to be an easy night. By 9:30 p.m., both children were sound asleep upstairs. Lauren texted a selfie to her best friend, throwing up a peace sign from the Whitmore's cozy living room. The caption read, "Easy money. Sleeping angels." In the background, the TV glowed softly with some late-night sitcom rerun. Everything appeared normal, safe, mundane. At 10:04 p.m., Lauren sent what would become her final known message, "All good here. Might crash on the couch after they fall asleep." She was alone in the house with 2 sleeping children. The doors were locked. The neighborhood was quiet. There was no reason to believe anything would go wrong. And yet, within 2 hours, Lauren Tate would vanish without a trace, leaving behind only a chilling whisper into a 911 phone line and a mystery that haunts Bell Ridge to this day. At exactly 11:37 p.m., a 911 dispatcher in Bell Ridge received a call that still sends chills down her spine to this day. On the recording, the voice is faint, barely above a whisper. The sound of rapid breathing echoes through the line, followed by a trembling, urgent voice. "It's Lauren," she said. "He's inside the house." The dispatcher immediately tried to get more information. Who was inside? Where was she in the house? Was anyone hurt? But Lauren's words came in fragments, hushed and desperate. "I locked the doors," she continued, "but I think he's already in here." And then, silence. The call went dead. No screaming. No struggle. No clicking of the phone being hung up. Just dead air, as if the line had been cut, or something had happened in those final seconds. Police were dispatched within seconds. 2 units arrived at the Whitmore residence 12 minutes later. Everything on the outside looked normal. No signs of a break-in. The porch light was still on. The front door was locked. Inside, the house was eerily still. The children were both found safe, asleep in their beds upstairs, completely unaware that anything had happened. But Lauren was gone. Her shoes sat by the front door. Her purse was on the kitchen counter. Her phone, strangely, had been placed carefully next to it, despite the fact that she had just called 911. There were no signs of a struggle. No blood. No broken windows. All doors and windows were locked from the inside. It was as if Lauren had simply disappeared into thin air. The officers searched the house room by room, calling her name, checking closets, crawl spaces, and under beds. But there was nothing. No sound. No movement. Only a growing sense of dread that whatever had happened fast. And that Lauren had been right. He was inside the house. By early morning, the Whitmore home had become a crime scene. Yellow tape lined the porch, and investigators moved quietly through the house, trying to make sense of a disappearance that had left no real trace. Lauren Tate was missing, but the scene was immaculate, too immaculate. Detectives focused on the interior first. There was no sign of forced entry. Every door and window was still locked from the inside. The back door had a security bar wedged tightly in place, and the alarm panel, though active earlier that evening, had been manually disabled sometime before midnight. Yet, curiously, No one in the neighborhood reported seeing or hearing anything unusual. Then they found it. In the basement, tucked in the far corner of the concrete floor, was a muddy footprint. It was faint, partially smudged, but clearly there. And it wasn't Lauren's. It was too large, likely a man's boot print, and it faced the staircase, as if someone had come up from the darkness, not gone down into it. There was more. A single light bulb above the laundry area had been unscrewed just enough to go out. Investigators noted the eerie darkness that would have blanketed that end of the basement unless someone knew where everything was. It felt staged, calculated. Then came the revelation that would deepen the mystery. The home security footage had stopped recording at 10:02 p.m., over an hour before Lauren made her 911 call. The Whitmore system was digital, motion-triggered, and uploaded to a cloud server. But at 10:02, the feed abruptly ended. The official report blamed a power surge. But strangely, the lights, television, and all other electronics in the house had stayed on. There had been no reported outage in the area. In the absence of answers, suspicion began to spread. Who would know how to disable a security system without killing the power to the entire house? Who would leave no trace, no forced entry, no DNA, no sound? The answers weren't upstairs. They were waiting in the shadows below. When the inside of the house offered no solid answers, investigators turned their attention outward, to the quiet street, the silent houses, and the people who lived just a few feet away. That's when they focused in on Douglas Kearns. Kearns lived alone next door to the Whitmores. A retired electrician in his mid-50s, he was known around the neighborhood as odd but harmless, socially withdrawn, a little paranoid, but never violent. He kept to himself, rarely made eye contact, and was often seen tinkering in his backyard shed late into the night. To most, he was just the quiet man next door. To detectives, he was now a potential suspect. When questioned, Kearns claimed he'd been asleep the entire night. He said he hadn't seen or heard anything unusual and insisted he didn't even know Lauren by name. But his demeanor was strange, detached, overly calm. Something about him didn't sit right. A warrant was issued to search his property, and what they found was chilling. The shed behind his house, once dismissed as just a hoarder's workshop, contained items far more disturbing than tools. Inside were rolls of duct tape, zip ties, and a small box of women's jewelry that didn't belong to any of his family. Most damning of all was a shovel, leaned against the far wall, with what appeared to be dried blood crusted near the handle. Next to it, a torn scrap of pale blue fabric, matching the hoodie Lauren had been wearing that night. Cadaver dogs were brought in and immediately alerted in two places: the backyard, near a patch of recently disturbed soil, and again inside the shed. But after extensive digging and testing, no body was found, and no conclusive DNA evidence could tie Kearns directly to Lauren. Without a body or definitive proof, charges couldn't stick. Kearns was brought in for questioning, but released shortly after. Legally, they couldn't hold him. 2 weeks later, he disappeared. Neighbors reported a moving truck at his house in the early morning hours. By the time police returned to follow up, Kearns was gone. His phone disconnected. His bank account emptied. The house sold to a real estate company with no forwarding information. It was as if he had never existed at all.
4 years, the case of Lauren Tate sat in the cold case files, buried under dust and silence.
There were no new leads.
No breakthroughs.
Just a family waiting, a town haunted, and a story that refused to rest. Every anniversary, Lauren's parents lit a candle on their porch. Every year, the flame flickered alone. But in 2021, nearly 8 years after that night, a discovery was made, not by law enforcement, but by the internet. A true crime enthusiast on Reddit, using the handle Urban Cryptid, had become obsessed with the Lauren Tate case. He spent months digging through public records, city archives, and old utility maps, hoping to find something police had missed. And eventually, he did. Buried in a stack of scanned blueprints from the 1950s, he found an outdated infrastructure map of the neighborhood. Back then, many homes in Bell Ridge were connected by a series of utility access tunnels, used for electrical wiring, water lines, and maintenance during extreme weather. Most had been sealed decades ago.
Forgotten.
But not all of them. One tunnel, according to the blueprints, ran directly beneath the Whitmore residence, starting from an old utility entrance on the property line and ending in the backyard of Douglas Kearns. Investigators had never known it existed. If the tunnel was still accessible, if Kearns had discovered it during his years as an electrician, it meant he never had to break into the house at all. He could have entered from beneath, crawling in through the shadows, emerging silently into the basement where that single muddy footprint had been found, and where the light had been unscrewed just enough to keep him hidden. The theory explained everything.
The disabled security system,
The lack of forced entry,
the missing girl.
and it painted Kearns not as a panicked predator, but a man who had been planning this for years. Authorities reopened the case and searched the property where Kearns once lived. But by then, the house had been renovated, the shed torn down, and the ground paved over. The tunnel entrance, if it had ever been real, was gone. To this day, Lauren Tate has never been found. Her voice, captured on that haunting 911 call, is all that remains. "He's inside the house," she said. But the truth may be even worse. He was already there. If you like the true crime documentary story you just watched, subscribe to the channel for updates.